Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, spiritual enlightenment is a trial and error path. One has to go through these ups and downs in the spiritual journey to figure out the plain sight truth, the unchanging truth within, which is the consciousness itself. And the nature of the consciousness is conscious and empty, void, nothing. That's the journey. So, life is already conditioned so much from the beginning until now. And also, there's so much distraction in the spiritual journey. And because of that, we go through the trial and error just to figure out the plain sight truth. Life on the outside is also trial and error, isn't it? You got to put yourself in the world, you got to go through the experience. And when you are mindful in your experience, then you recognize the healthy pattern. And basically, you invite the healthy pattern to support your life in a way that you put minimum effort and yield maximum result. That's outward journey of trial and error. The only difference between outward and inward journey is that the outward journey is recognizing the healthy pattern, life supporting pattern. And the inward journey is dismantling all patterns, dismantling all ideas. Why? Because the truth of who you are, or the plain sight truth, is not pattern nor an idea. It's it is conscious and empty. Empty. So that's the difference. Now, some of you are already recognizing that, or you have gone through the trial and error in your spiritual journey, isn't it? For everyone in the beginning, the spiritual journey is outwardly, isn't it? We all started the journey outwardly. We seek truth outside. But somehow, our interest in the spiritual journey and our exploration in the path made us realize that the truth is not outside. Truth is within you. And that is catching the first error, isn't it? From looking out and turning the awareness within. That's the first error. And once we start to create an inward journey, once you start to be part of the inward journey, then we associate it with the meditation. We associate it with the quiet practice. And when we are being part of the meditation, notice there's so much techniques in the meditation world. And pretty much we go through a lot of the meditation practices. And the reason to go through all sorts of meditation practice is for fun in the beginning, isn't it? To upgrade, to to upgrade our experience in the name of spirituality, not recognizing that the spiritual freedom isn't about the upgraded experience, but that reference is missing. So we go through the experience, we go through lots of practices. And when the truth is missing, when we don't know who we are the ego self, and our ego loves to be part of pretty much all sorts of practices. And ego loves to color one, one, one's own consciousness, because coloring seems upgrade. Expanding the mind for the ego is spiritual growth. But that's an error. That's an outward journey. But the ego doesn't recognize that until we start to align with the reference of true spirituality. And the reference of the true spirituality is spiritual freedom is not an experience, it's not a visual effect, and it's not an idea. So when we realign with this reference, then we start to catch the error in the meditation world. Another reference in the spiritual journey is that the spiritual journey is about dismantling the mind. Dismantling the mind also means dismantling the fear in oneself. If the fear and if the mental fluctuation is still there, that means the path is not working. There is a flaws in this spiritual journey. Now, discarding the practices to, associate it with the real practice and to trust the real practice, one has to stay with the path. One has to invest in the path enough. It's not touch and go in the spiritual journey. You have to invest yourself in the meditation to see how far the meditation journey can take you in making you free, not just physically and mentally, but truly being free. So, even the real journey, if you encounter, if you happen to be lucky, and then the self-inquiry journey was introduced to you in the early part of the spiritual journey, if you don't stay in the inward journey of dismantling the mind, then even the real path can be discarded, and then people just hop on to one practice to another practice. But that is not a trial and error approach. The real trial and approach is about staying in the practice, working on the reference of the practice, working with the stuff, and then seeing the result, to see what kind of result the path, the practice is yielding. And again, the real spiritual path is about dismantling the mind. Dismantling the mind is dismantling the fear. That's the journey. Dismantling the mind is the way to see the plain sight truth. When the truth is seen, all mental and emotional fluctuations just drops from the persons. There's a natural letting go. By the way, the letting go is a natural process by seeing the plain sight truth. Truth makes the truth makes the seeker to let go all layers and stay empty and at the same time whole. That's the journey. So there's so much spiritual distraction, and we got to go through that enough to recognize the flaws in the spiritual journey, and catching the flaws is the way to reorient oneself to the real path, which is the self-inquiry. The truth is within. We are going through the struggle, we are going through the experience of fear, and to see the truth, one must remove, must understand why the struggle and fear is there in one's life. So to overcome the fear and struggle is about questioning, not just sitting with oneself. It's a questioning path, because right now we associate it with the mind as a true in some level, and the whole journey is about questioning to differentiate what is true and what are false, and and that is a thorough approach to see the truth. So so it's a trial and error. Okay, it's a trial and error journey. Ultimately, encountering the supportive practice and investigating oneself in that practice. That's the path to freedom. Okay, so here's a not to waste your time so much in the spiritual journey, not to get distracted in the name of spirituality, is to incorporate self-inquiry. Self-inquiry. If you have already encountered self-inquiry practice, uh, then if you don't see the don't if you haven't recognized the truth from that practice, probably you have given up the practice, or you're not thorough in the practice. That's it. And again, not being able to being thorough is the way to give up the practice that can really help you see the truth. So self-inquiry, if you start to question yourself, in a way that to figure out why you experience struggle, why you experience fear, then it won't take that long to figure out the truth of who you are. The truth is already within, and when it's already within, it's not hard. Yes, it's challenging. The path is challenging because you have to face your fear. That is challenging. You have to sacrifice. That is challenging. But that's the practice. You have to sacrifice to figure out what is real in you. So some level of sacrifice is definitely needed. But this, that experience of letting go is the way to see how much ego we got. But after that, we gotta work on oneself and dismantling the ego, dismantling the fear. Anyway, I hope this video makes sense. Uh, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.